everybody. My name's Sunny. Thanks for watching. Um, really quick, I'm not able to go live anymore. I'm gonna try not to cry about it. I'm really mad and I'm really sad. I haven't been able to stream for weeks and still haven't been able to identify the problem. Um, I have posted a job, I guess, to hire someone to help me figure out the problem. I'm willing to pay a stranger to help troubleshoot with me and identify the problem and hopefully try and fix it. But until then, I miss you guys. I miss my friends on my streams. I miss the interactions. But until then, bear with me and I'll just keep trying to make content every week, pre-recorded and posted as videos. And thank you. Um, I love you guys. Thanks for watching. We are on. Ooh, sorry. We're like, we're getting close. Chapter 12, Saying I Love You. Wednesday, 15th July, 1998. Chichester, Sussex. Then, without quite knowing how it happened, Dexter finds that he has fallen in love, and suddenly life is one long mini break. Sylvie Cope. Her name is Sylvie Cope, a beautiful name, and if you asked him what she is like, he would shake his head and blow air through his mouth and say that she is great, just amazing. She's beautiful, of course, but in a different way from the others. Not lad's mag bubbly like Suki Meadows, or trendy beautiful like Naomi or Ingrid or Yolanda, but serenely, classically beautiful in an early TV presenter incarnation. He might have called her classy, or even dead classy. Long, straight, fair hair, parted severely in the middle, small, neat features set perfectly in a pale, heart-shaped face. She reminds him of a woman in a painting that he can't remember the name of. Someone medieval with flowers in her hair. That is what Sylvie Cope is like. The kind of woman who would look perfectly at home with her arms draped around a unicorn. Tall and slim, a little austere, frequently quite stern, with a face that doesn't move much except to frown or sometimes to roll her eyes at some stupid thing he said or done. Sylvie is perfect and demands perfection. Her ears stick out just a tiny, tiny bit so that they glow like coral with the light behind her, and in the same light you can see a fine, downy hair on her cheeks and forehead. At other more superficial times in his life, Dexter might have found these qualities, the glowing ears and the hairy forehead, off-putting, but as he looks at her now, seated at the table opposite him on an English lawn in high summer, her perfect little chin resting on her long-fingered hand, swallows overhead, candles lighting her face, just like in those paintings by the candle guys, he finds her completely hypnotic. She smiles at him across the table, and he decides that tonight is the night that he will tell her that he loves her. He has never really said I love you before, not sober and on purpose. He has said I fucking love you, but that's different. And he feels that now is the time to use the words in their purest form. He is so taken with this plan that he is momentarily unable to concentrate on what is being said. So what do you do exactly, Dexter? Asks Sylvie's mother from the far end of the table, Helen Cope, bird-like and aloof, in beige cashmere. On hearing, Dexter continues to gaze at Sylvie, who is raising her eyebrows now in warning. Dexter? Hmm? Mummy asked you a question. I'm sorry, miles away. He's a TV presenter, says Sam. Oh, he's a TV presenter, says Sam, one of Sylvie's twin brothers. 19 years old with a college rower's back, Sam is a hulking, self-satisfied little Nazi, just like his twin brother Murray. Is or was. Do you still do presenting these days? Smirks Murray, and they flick their blonde fringes at each other. Sporty, clear-skinned, blue-eyed. They look like they were raised in a lab. Mummy wasn't asking you, Murray, snaps Sylvie. Well, I still am a presenter of sorts, says Dexter, and thinks I'll get you yet, you little bastards. They've had run-ins before, Dexter and the twins, in London. Through little smirks and twinkles, they've revealed that they don't think much of Sis's new boyfriend. Thinks she can do better. The Cope family are winners and will only tolerate winners. Dexter's just a charm boy, a has been, a poser on the way down. There is silence at the table. Was he meant to keep talking? I'm sorry, what was the question? Asks Dexter, momentarily lost but determined to get back on top of the game. I wondered what you were up to these days work-wise, she repeats patiently, making clear that this is a job interview for the post of Sylvie's boyfriend. Well, I've been working on a couple of new TV shows, actually. We're waiting to find out what's going to get commissioned. What are they about, these TV shows? Well, one's about London nightlife, a sort of what's on in the capital thing, and the other's a sports show, extreme sports. Extreme sports? What are extreme sports? Well, mountain biking, snowboarding, skateboarding. And do you do any extreme and do you do any extreme sports yourself? Smirks Murray. I skateboard a little, says Dexter defensively, and he notices that at the other end of the table, Sam has stuffed his napkin into his mouth. Will we have seen you on anything on the BBC? Says Lionel, the father, handsome, plump, self-satisfied, and still bizarrely blonde in his late 50s. Unlikely. It's all rather late night fare, I'm afraid. Rather late night fare, I'm afraid. I skateboard a little. God, he thinks. God, he thinks. What do you sound like? There's something about being with the Cope family that makes him behave as if he's in a costume drama. Perchance, 'tis rather late night fare. Still, if that's what it takes. Now Murray, the other twin, or is it actually Sam, pipes up, his mouth full of salad. We used to watch that late night show you were on, large in it, all swearing and dolly birds dancing in cages. You didn't like us watching it, remember, Mum? God, that thing? Mrs. Cope, Helen, frowns. I do remember vaguely. You used to really, really hate it, says Murray or Sam. Turn it off, you used to shout, says the other one. Turn it off, you'll damage your brain. Funny, that's exactly what my mother used to say too, says Dexter, but no one picks up on the remark and he reaches for the wine bottle. So that was you, was it? Says Lionel, Sylvie's father, his eyebrows raised, as if the gentleman at his table has revealed himself to be rather the cad. Well, yes, but it wasn't all like that. I tended just to interview the bands and the movie stars. He wonders if he sounds big-headed with this talk of bands and movie stars, but there's no chance of that because the twins are there, ready to shoot him down. So, do you still hang out with a lot of movie stars then? Says one of them in mock awe. The jumped the jumped up little Aryan freak boy. Not really, not anymore. He decides to answer honestly, but without any regret or self-pity. That has all sort of drifted away. Dexter's being modest, says Sylvie. He gets offers all the time. He's just very picky about his on-screen work. What he really wants to do is produce. Dexter has his own media production company, she says proudly, and her parents nod approvingly. A businessman, an entrepreneur, that's more like it. Dexter smiles too, but the fact is, life has become a great deal quieter recently. Mayhem TV plc has yet to earn a commission or a meeting with a commissioner, and at the moment still exists only in the form of expensively headed paper. Aaron, his agent, has dropped him. There are no voiceovers, no promotional work, not quite so many premieres. He is no longer the voice of Premium Cider, has been quietly expelled from poker school, and even the guy who plays the congas in Jamar- Jamiroquai doesn't call him anymore. And yet, despite all this, the downturn in professional fortunes, he's fine now because now he has fallen in love with Sylvie, beautiful Sylvie, and now they have their mini breaks. Weekends frequently begin and end at Stansted Airport, where they fly off to Genoa or Bucharest, Rome, or Reykjavik, trips that Sylvie pre-plans with the precision of an invading army. A startlingly attractive metropolitan European couple, they stay in exclusive little boutique hotels and shop and walk, and drink tiny cups of black coffee in street cafes, then lock themselves into their chic, minimal, top-colored bedroom with the wet room and the single stick of bamboo in the tall, thin vase. If they're not exploring small independent shops in a major European city, then they're spending time in West London with Sylvie's friends, petite, pretty-faced girls, and their pink-cheeked, large-bottomed boyfriends who, like Sylvie and her friends, work in marketing or advertising or the city. In truth, they're not really his sort, these hyper-confident Uber boyfriends. They remind him of the prefects and head boys he knew at school. Not unpleasant, just not very cool. Never mind, you can't build your life around what's cool, and there are benefits to this less chaotic, more ordered lifestyle. Serenity and drunkenness don't really go together, and save for the occasional glass of champagne or wine with dinner, Sylvie doesn't drink alcohol. Neither does she smoke or take drugs or eat red meat or bread or refined sugar or potatoes. More significantly, she has no time for Dexter drunk. His abilities as a fabled mixologist mean nothing to her. She finds inebriation embarrassing and unmanly, and more than once he has found himself alone at the end of the evening because of that third martini. Though it has never been stated as such, he has been given a choice. Clean up your act, sort out your life, or you will lose me. Consequently, there are fewer hangovers these days, fewer nosebleeds, fewer mornings spent writhing in shame and self disgust. He no longer goes to bed with a bottle of red wine in case he gets thirsty in the night, and for this he is grateful. He feels like a new man. But the single most striking thing about Sylvie is that he likes her so much more than she likes him. He likes her straightforwardness, her self confidence and poise. He likes her ambition, which is ferocious and unapologetic, and her taste, which is expensive and immaculate. Of course, he likes the way she looks and the way they look together, but he also likes her lack of sentimentality. She is as hard, bright, and desirable as a diamond, and for the first time in his life, he has had to do the chasing. On their first late, a ruinously expensive French restaurant in Chelsea, he had wondered aloud if she was enjoying herself. She was having a wonderful time, she said, but she didn't like to laugh in company because she didn't like what laughter did to her face. And although a part of him felt a little chill at this, a part of him also had to admire her commitment. This visit, his first to the parental home, is a part of a long weekend, a stopover in Chichester before they continue down the M3 to a rented cottage in Cornwall, where Sylvia is going to teach him how to surf. Of course, he shouldn't really be taking all this time off. He should be working or looking for work, but the prospect of Sylvie, stern and rosy-cheeked in a wetsuit with her hair tied back, is almost more than he can bear. He looks across at her now to check on how he is performing, and she smiles reassuringly in the candlelight. He's doing fine so far. And he pours himself one last glass of wine. Mustn't have too much. Gotta keep your wits about you with these people. After dessert, sorbet made from their very own strawberries, which he has praised excessively, Dexter helps Sylvie take the plates back into the house, a red brick mansion like a high-end doll's house. They stand in the Victorian country kitchen, loading the dishwasher. I keep getting your brothers muddled up. A good way to remember it is Sam's hateful and Murray's foul. Don't think they like me very much. They don't like anyone apart from themselves. I think I'm a bit flash. She takes his hand across the cutlery basket. Does it matter what my family thinks of you? Depends. Does it matter to you what your family think of me? A little, I suppose. Well, then it matters to me too, he says with great sincerity. She stops loading the dishwasher and looks at him intently. Like public laughter, Sylvie is not a big fan of ostentatious displays of affection, of cuddles and hugs. Sex with Sylvie is like a particularly demanding game of squash, leaving him aching and with a general sense that he is lost. Physical contact is rare, and when it does come, tends to spring from nowhere, violently and swiftly. Now, suddenly, she puts her hand to the back of his head and kisses him hard, at the same time taking his other hand and jamming it between her legs. He looks into her eyes, wide and intent, and sets his own face to express desire, rather than discomfort at the dishwasher door chafing his shins. He can hear the family marching into the house, the twins' boorish voices in the hallway. He tries to pull away, but his lower lip is gripped neatly between Sylvie's teeth, stretching out comically like a Warner Brothers cartoon. He whimpers and she laughs, then lets go of his lip so that it snaps back like a roller blind. Can't wait for bed later, she breathes, as he checks for blood with the back of his hand. What if your family here? I don't care, I'm a big girl now. He wonders if he should do it now, tell her that he loves her. God, Dexter, you can't just put the saucepans in the dishwasher. You have to rinse them first. She goes through to the living room, leaving him to rinse the pans. Dexter's not easily intimidated by anybody, But there is something about this family, something self sufficient and self satisfied, that makes him feel defensive. It's certainly not a matter of class. His own background is just as privileged, if a lot more liberal and bohemian than the high Tory Copes. What makes him anxious is this obligation to prove himself a winner. The Copes are early risers, um, mountain walkers, lake swimmers, hale, hardy, superior, and he resolves not to let them get to him. As he enters the living room, the Axis powers turn to face him, and there's a hasty hush, as if they had just been discussing him. He smiles confidently, then flops into one of the low floral sofas. The living room has been done up to feel like a country house hotel, right down to the copies of Country Life, Private Eye, and The Economist, fanned out on the coffee table. There's a momentary silence. A clock ticks, and he is contemplating reaching for a copy of The Lady when I know, let's play Are You There, Moriarty? Says Murray, and there's general approval from the family, even Sylvie. What's Are You There, Moriarty? Asks Dexter, and the Copes all shake their heads in unison at this interloper's ignorance. It's a wonderful, wonderful parlor game, says Helen, more animated than she has been all evening. We've been playing it for years. Sam, meanwhile, is already rolling up a copy of the Daily Telegraph into a long, stiff rod. Basically, one person is blindfolded, and they have this rolled up newspaper, and they sit kneeling opposite this other person, who's also blindfolded. Murray takes over, at the same time digging in the drawers of the antique writing table for a roll of sellotape. The one with the rolled up newspaper says, Are you there, Moriarty? He tosses the tape to Sam, and the other person has to sort of contort and duck out of the way and then answer yes or here. Sam starts binding the newspaper into a tight baton, and judging from where the voice comes from, he has to try and hit them with the rolled up newspaper. You get 3 attempts, and if you miss all 3, you have to stay on and get hit by the next player, says Sylvie, elated at the prospect of a Victorian parlor game. And if you hit the other person, you get to choose your next contestant. That's how we play it anyway. So, says Moriarty, tapping the palm of his hand with the paper truncheon, who's for some extreme sports? It is decided that Sam will take on Dexter the intruder, and that, surprise, surprise, Sam will get the baton. The field of battle is the large faded rug in the middle of the room, and Sylvie leads him into position and then stands behind him, tying a large white napkin over his eyes, a princess favoring her loyal knight. He gets one last glimpse of Sam kneeling opposite him, smirking from behind his blindfold as he taps the palm of his hand with the baton, and Dexter is suddenly overwhelmed by the need to win this game and show the family what he's made of. Show them how it's done. Oh, show them how it's done, whispers Sylvie, her breath hot in his ear. And he remembers the moment in the kitchen, his hand between her legs. Now she takes his elbow and helps him kneel, and the adversaries face each other in silence like gladiators in the arena of the Persian rug. Let the games commence, says Lionel like an emperor. Are you there, Moriarty? Says Sam with a snicker. Here, says Dexter, then like a limbo dancer, deftly leans backwards. The first blow hits him just below the eye, making a satisfying slapping sound that echoes round the room. Ooh, and ouch, says the Copes, laughing at his pain. That's gotta hurt, says Murray maddeningly. And Dexter feels a deep sting of humiliation while he laughs good-naturedly, a hearty, well-done you laugh. You got me, he concedes, rubbing his cheek, but Sam has smelt blood and is already asking, Are you there, Moriarty? Yeah. Before he can move, the second blow slaps against his buttock, causing him to flinch and stumble to the side, and again there's laughter from the family, and a low hissing, Yes, from Sam. Nice one, Sammy, says the mother, proud of her boy, and Dexter suddenly has a deep hatred of this stupid fucking game, which seems to be some weird family ritual of humiliation. 2 out of 2, guffaws Murray. Nice one, bro. And don't say bro either, you little tit, thinks Dexter, fuming now because if there's one thing that he hates, it's being laughed at, especially by this lot, who clearly think he's a loser, all washed up and not up to the job of being their precious Sylvie's boyfriend. Think I've got the hang of it now, he chortles, clinging to a sense of humor while at the same time wanting to pummel Sammy's face with his fists. Let's get ready to rumble, says Murray in that voice again. Or a frying pan, a cast iron frying pan. So here goes, 3 out of 3, methinks. A ball peen hammer, or a mace. Are you there, Moriarty? Says Sam. Here, says Dexter, and like a ninja, he twists at his waist, ducking down and to the right. The third blow is an insolent poke in the shoulder with the blunt end that sends Dexter sprawling backwards into the coffee table. The prod is so impertinent and precise that he's convinced that Sam must be cheating, and he tears his blindfold off to confront him, finding instead Sylvie leaning over him laughing. Actually laughing, regardless of what it does to her face. A hit! A palpable hit! Shrieks that little shit Murray. And Dexter clambers to his feet, his face a grimace of delight. There's a little round of patronizing applause. Sam has his teeth bared, his ruddy face screwed up, 2 fists pulled slowly towards his chest in victory. Better luck next time, drawls Helen, the wicked Roman empress. You'll get the hang of it, growls Lionel, and enraged, Dexter notices that the twins are holding finger and thumbs to their foreheads in an L shape. L for loser. Well, I'm still proud of you, pouts Sylvie, ruffling his hair and patting his knee, as he sinks into the sofa next to her. Shouldn't she be on his side? When it comes to loyalty, he thinks, she's still one of them. The tournament continues. Murray beats Sam, then Lionel beats Murray, then Lionel gets beaten by Helen, and it's all very convivial and jolly. These neat little bops and taps with the rolled up newspaper, all much jollier than when it was Dexter out there getting clubbed around the face with what felt like a length of scaffolding. From deep in the sofa he watches and scowls, and as part of his revenge quietly sets about emptying a bottle of Lionel's very good claret. Claret? Claret. There was a time when he could do this kind of thing. If he was 23 again, he would feel confident and charming and self-assured, but he has lost the knack somehow, and his mood darkens as the bottle empties. Then Helen beats Murray, and Sam beats Helen, and now it's Sam's turn to try and strike his sister, and there is at least some pleasure and pride in watching how good Sylvie is at the game, effortlessly avoiding her little brother's desperate swipes, twisting and ducking at the waist, supple and sporty, his golden girl. He watches, smiling, from deep in the sofa, and just when he thinks they've all forgotten about him. Come on, then, your go. Sylvie is holding out the bottom towards him, the baton towards him. But you just won. No, but you haven't had a chance to bat yet, poor thing, she pouts. Come on, have a go. Take me on. The Copes all love the idea of this, and there's a low pagan rumble of excitement, bizarrely vaguely sexual, and clearly he has no choice. His honor, the honor of the Mayhews, is at stake here. Solemnly, Dexter puts down his glass, stands and takes the baton. You're sure about this? He says, kneeling on the carpet an arm's length away, because I'm a pretty good tennis player. Oh, I'm sure, she says, grinning provocatively, shaking out her hands like a gymnast as the blindfold is tied. And I think I might be quite good at this. Behind him, Sam ties his blindfold tight as a tourniquet. We'll see, won't we? The arena falls silent. Okay, are you ready? Says Dexter. Oh, yes. He grips the baton with both hands, arms level at his shoulder. Are you sure? I'm ready when you. Momentarily, an image flickers in his mind, a baseball player on his mound, as he slices diagonally with the bat, a tremendous uppercut that swishes audibly through the air, and from behind the blindfold, the impact feels fantastic as it sends tremors along both arms and into his chest. A moment of awed silence follows, and for a moment Dexter is sure that he has done very, very well. And then he hears a crash, and an appalled cry goes up in unison from the whole family. Sylvie! Oh my God. Sweetheart, darling, are you okay? Dexter tears off his blindfold to see that Sylvie has somehow been transported to the far side of the room, slumped over in the fireplace like a marionette with all her strings cut. Her eyes are blinking wide and her hand is cupped to her face, but it's already possible to see the dark rivulet of blood as it trickles down beneath her nose. She is moaning quietly to herself. Oh my God, I am so sorry, he exclaims, horrified. Immediately he crosses towards her, but the family is already closed in. Good God, Dexter, what the hell were you thinking? Barks red-faced Lionel, drawing himself up to his full height. You didn't even ask if she was there, Moriarty, shrieks her mother. Didn't I? Sorry. No, you just lashed out crazily, like a madman. Sorry, I forgot. I was drunk, says Sam. The accusation hangs in the air. You're drunk, man. You're completely pissed. They all turn and glare. It really was an accident. I just caught your face at an odd angle. Sylvie tugs on Helen's sleeve. How does it look? She asks in a tearful voice as she discreetly removes her cupped hand from her nose. It's as if she's holding a fistful of strawberry sorbet. It's really not too bad, gasped Helen, her hand clasped to her mouth in horror, and Sylvie's face crumples further into tears. Let me see, the bathroom, she whimpers, and the family haul her to her feet. It really was just some kind of fluky accident. Holding her mother's arm, Sylvie hurries past him, eyes fixed straight ahead. Do you want me to come with you, Sylvie? Sylv? There's no reply, and he watches in misery as her mother escorts her into the hall and up the stairs to the bathroom. He listens to the footsteps fade, and now it's just Dexter and the Cope menfolk. A primal scene. They glare and glare. Instinctively, he feels his hand tighten around his weapon, the tightly rolled up copy of today's Daily Telegraph, and says the only thing that he can think of to say. Ouch. So, so, do you think I made a good impression? Dexter and Sylvie lie in the guest room's large, soft double bed. Sylvie turns to look at him, her face unmoving, the small, fine nose throbbing accusingly. She sniffs but says nothing. Do you want me to say I'm sorry again? Dexter, it's fine. You forgive me? I forgive you, she snaps. And you think they think I'm all right? They don't think I'm some sort of violent psychopath or something? I think they think you're fine. Let's forget it, shall we? She turns onto her side, away from him, and turns out her light. A moment passes. Like a shamed schoolboy, he feels as if he won't sleep unless he gets some further reassurance. Sorry for fucking up, he pouts. Again. She turns once more and lays one hand fondly on his cheek. Don't be ridiculous. You were doing fine until you hit me. They really liked you. And what about you, he says, still fishing. She sighs and smiles. I think you're okay, too. Any chance of a kiss, then? I can't. I'll start bleeding. I'll make up for it tomorrow. She turns away again. Satisfied now, he sinks lower and puts his hand behind his head. The bed is immense and soft and smells of freshly washed linen, and the windows open out onto a still summer night. Stripped of quilts and blankets, they lie beneath a single white cotton sheet, and he can see the wonderful line of her legs and narrow hips, the curve of her long, smooth back. Tonight's sexual potential evaporated with the moment of impact and the possibility of concussion, but still he turns to her and places one hand beneath the sheet and onto her thigh. The skin is cool and smooth. Long drive tomorrow, she mumbles. Let's go to sleep. He continues to look at the back of her head, where the long, fine hair falls away from the nape of her neck, revealing the darker curls beneath. You could take a photograph of that, he thinks. It is so beautiful. Call it texture. He wonders if he still might tell her that he loves her, or more tentatively that he thinks he might be in love with her, which is both more touching and easier to back out of, clearly is but clearly this is not the time. Not now with the plug of bloody tissue still on her bedside table. He feels he ought to say something, though. Inspired, he kisses her shoulder and whispers, Well, you know what they say. He pauses for effect. You always hurt the one you love. This is pretty clever, pretty adorable, he thinks. And there's a silence while he waits, eyebrows raised expectantly for the implication to sink in. Let's get some sleep, shall we? She says. Defeated, he lies back and listens to the gentle hum of the A259. Somewhere in the house right now, her parents are tearing him to pieces, and he realizes appallingly that he has a sudden desire to laugh. He starts to giggle, then laugh outright, struggling to maintain the silence as his body starts to shake, making the mattress shudder. Are you laughing? Murmurs Sylvie into her pillow. No, says Dexter, screwing his face tight to keep it in. But the laughter's coming in waves now, and he feels another surge of hysterics starting to build in his stomach. There is a point in the future where even the worst disaster starts to settle into an anecdote, and he can see the potential for a story here. It's the kind of story that he would like to tell Emma Morley, but he doesn't know where Emma Morley is or what she's doing. Hasn't seen her for more than 2 years now. He'll just have to remember the story, tell her some other day. He starts to laugh again. The end. Thanks for listening. Um, Stay tuned for the next chapter. Bye. Love you guys.